Small businesses and MSPs are under attack by hackers from anywhere at any time. And in this next segment, we learn about the different types of hackers out there and what their motivations are. To explain all about hacker types, we have Craig Taylor, CEO and co founder of Cyberhood, with us today. Craig, tell us about these hackers types and why it's important to understand their different goals for hacking.
Well, I'll start with a story that's more than 2,000 years old. Sun Tzu was a Chinese general who wrote a book called The Art of War more than 2,000 years ago. And it contains many hidden gems that the advice of which applies to modern cybersecurity defenses today. One of the critical statements he makes is to know thine enemy and what they want. This is very important advice for SMBs and MSPs today, trying to defend themselves against the onslaught of attacks from all these different kinds of hackers. So let's go through the 7 different types of hackers that Cyberhood has identified and what their motivations are. And in so doing, you'll learn maybe a little bit better way to defend against it and whether or not you might be facing that adversary or not, depending on what you have in your business. So without further ado, there are the following 7 types of hackers. Number 1, a black hat hacker. This type of hacker is solely out for their own benefit, often with money as their ultimate goal and motivation, and they do so at all costs. They have no regard for anyone else's safety, security, or businesses. They would sooner burn that business down and take all the money out of it than do, a little less damage and allow it to survive and take less money for themselves. A gray hat hacker is somewhat of a misnomer because this person might sometimes hack for good, identifying bugs and making money in bug bounty programs to vendors of applications out there. But sometimes they go a little bit on the dark side and they hack for their own personal benefit and they keep it to themselves without reporting it to those vendors because they can monetize it better on the black market. Then there are white hat hackers. These folks are cybersecurity professionals who hack for good. They almost exclusively make money on bug bounty programs, reporting to vendors on what's called a responsible disclosure method, where they keep their findings private until the company issues a patch, and then they go public with what they discovered in their hacking capabilities. All 3 of those are motivated by one way or another by money, but white hat hackers are the most ethical and try to do what's right for society. There are many other types of hackers out there, though. Script Kitties, for example, if you remember the war games from the early 80s, these kids working in their parents' basement tried to break into the Pentagon or the NASA and steal the space shuttle plans. They're really out not to harm our companies, but to get notoriety and fame for their hacking exploits. Typically, they can't write their own code. They're using other people's software to do their hacking. That's why we call them script kiddies, because they're using other people's scripts. Now, the hacker organization that worries me the most for the listeners out there is this next one. SMBs and MSPs really need to pay attention to organized crime, who are hacking for money, pure and simple. They're the ones that are hiring the black hat hackers to work for those organized crime families to compromise and breach your companies with ransomware and extort you for money so that they can make their money, that the way they normally made it was, in the old days, 100 years ago, robbing a bank. But today you can't really rob a bank. There's just too many smartphones and security measures. So they've taken their physical security threats, moved them online. And it's a lot easier to get away with hacking online and not get caught today than it ever has been in the past. So organized crime has realized that, and they moved a lot of their operations online to attack our companies, our SMBs and MSPs. The next group of hackers is nation states. And every country of the world, doesn't matter if you're Canada, the United States, China, Israel, all over the world, every country has an offensive and a defensive hacking organization. And a lot of countries will hack businesses for their intellectual property and then share it with their own companies back home. Now, I don't want to name names, but there are some Asian countries that do a lot of this and help their companies build better products with intellectual property they've stolen from the US. And the last group of hackers is hacktivists. And these are hackers who are out to hack companies based on a social a political cause of some kind. So if you're a political organization, you may be hacked because they want to embarrass you about your internal conversations around your platform and your machinations around how to win elections. If you're a logging company or a farming company or a commercial fishing company, you might be hacked because somebody out there believes you're logging too much, or you're farming with bad methods and you're polluting our waterways, or you're fishing too much and you're destroying our oceans. So there's social causes for that. So in summary, we've got 7 different hacker groups, and I think we have a graphic that will give you a quick view of this. But we have black hat hackers, we have white hat hackers, and gray hat hackers in the middle, script kiddies, organized crime, nation state sponsored hackers, and hacktivists. These are the folks that are out there and the cause of all these news articles we hear each and every day.
Wow. I didn't know there was so many different types of hackers out there, Craig. This is truly a good example of how important it is to become aware, of your adversaries and their motivation to help you become more secure.